What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions in Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm joined again by two guests for All for One. I have Kendall Drury and I have Elliot Ryan. Hello!
It's one for all.
Yeah, one for all.
We've done this so many times, Trevor.
Did I say the wrong thing? All for one. One for all. Yeah.
We're the awful ones.
You're the awful ones. Yes.
The show's called.
There we go. You know, we've done enough of these that it's all blending together now.
Look, we're round 4 for me, so yeah,
yeah.
Good to be back.
I do think now, Elliot, you are the person who has appeared the most on the show with me.
I think you have some competition.
Oh, yeah.
Coming for
just at some point in the future, Elliot just slowly starts pulling it off. Because I'm coming for your job.
So Kendall, why don't you introduce yourself?
Dang it, well done. No, you got this. You go for it. You do it. I got set a timer.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kendall Drury. I play the Dungeon Master and various NPCs on, what's the show called? All for One?
One for all.
Look, I
Dear
don't even know anymore.
One for all. Yeah. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And Elliot, who are you?
Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm Elliot. I am the writer, director, and showrunner of One for All.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, I mean, I'm surprised that you're here, but you know, look, it's a fun web series on YouTube, which basically follows a party who go around the Forgotten Realms and just cause as much chaos and mischief as possible, all in the name of, like, you know, trying to be the hero and do the right thing. But, you know, they usually just make every situation worse. And this party is led by none other than Kendall, who plays Patrick, the DM.
Yeah. I still love the quick pitch of "It is always sunny in the Forgotten Realms," and that's just, yep, it's perfect. But yeah, Kendall, you play the DM, and for All Champions players, you are the BBEG. But before we get to that, I want to start things off with my fun little icebreaker question. Kendall, how'd you get into D&D?
I was in my second year of acting school, and a couple of us weren't used to the existential dread yet, and we're just sort of like dealing with the fact that our old escapism used to be, you know, watching TV and movies, but we can't do that anymore without like analyzing and stuff. So we were trying to find we were just talking about, like, we don't have like a wind down, like, interesting, like, escapism sort of thing every now and then. And someone in the year above us was listening in and was like, "You guys are nerds, right?" And it's like, yeah, the ones of us having this discussion were nerds. And he's like, "Well, I play D&D." And we were like, "We've heard of that." And yeah, he just invited us around to his place for an introductory game. It turned into a short campaign, and yeah, like 10 years later, still going.
That's awesome. I always love the person that's hanging around is just like, I'm just here to get more people into D&D. It's just like, hey, you want to try this fun game? Come over here.
He didn't even, yeah, maybe he didn't even go to the school. He was just like lurking.
He was,
I was just here to sell some drugs, but, you know, D&D is cool too.
Oh boy, chat be cool. All right, well, Elliot, continuing the other questions that I found for you through this, tell me about your most recent D&D character.
Oh, my most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking because the last thing I did was the DM session, and I think I did play a halfling for one of my longer campaigns, and I think that might have honestly been like the last big campaign that I played.
Oh yeah.
and that kind of got messed around because of, you know, COVID and all of that stuff. So had a big old break in the middle. But yeah, he was a little guy, and his like a halfling rogue. He had his name was like an anagram of fake name.
That's
And
actually really good.
every single time he introduced himself, he said it in a completely different spelling of those letters, just to see like who else at the table would catch on. And like nobody did ever. So I think like people just thought I was really inconsistent with my character.
I like that.
But yeah, it was a fun guy. He was like that typical you know, steal everything, you know, be a huge nuisance. Kind of we had our rogue, the Tabaxi rogue, on the show. It's somewhat a little bit based on that same character. Just chaos little guy.
I get the feeling you like chaos, Elliot. I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah, what can I say? We make a show on the internet, so it's always chaos.
Pure chaos. Kendall, tell me about Patrick the DM and the BBEG.
Oh well, the BBEG is probably more interesting. So we'll save them for a second. Patrick's an interesting one. Like definitely when it comes to the show, he's probably been where I've struggled a bit more, like with acting, just because like when we get into like filming the characters in costume and with funny voices and stuff, like, you know, I have stuff to feed off, and then when it's like go to the lounge room, they're like, "Hey, Kendall, just be yourself," and I'm like, "But I'm boring." like compared to the other three, like you can just like do stuff. So yeah, Patrick's just he's the archetype of the long-suffering GM. He's trying to do things the way he thinks is the proper game and trying not to let it go too wild, but it always flings back in his face. And I think as the show's progressed, he's gone a little bit away from long suffering and a bit more towards adversarial, just because he wants some revenge.
At this point, I don't blame him.
Yeah. And yeah, BBEG, yeah, he's an undead drow necromancer turned into when we first met them in the first episode he was in, he was not yet at lichdom. Our canon is he has since progressed into lichdom. And he likes to monologue. He likes to plan things to a T, thinking he's accounted for everything, but the chaos of the party always undoes that. And he also wears heavy armor he's not quite proficient in.
I didn't actually think about that till now. I'm like, yeah, if he's a necromancer, he's wearing full plate.
It's for the theater of it. Like he wants to like get dressed up and like look as daunting as possible, but he's not the strongest, so it doesn't actually help him.
It's got advantage on intimidation checks until he moves. So for Elliot, how did you go about writing these two characters?
So for the DM, he is definitely just like, you know, the guy who's herding the cats. You know, it's like
herding.
Yeah, so this is where I introduced Kendall to the real backstory of this character. Just an absolute monster.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh, Lumi.
Took a real twist in season 6. Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a Netflix like... documentary about it.
Oh gosh. Yeah, he's like the guy who's like, he just wants to play a good game of D&D, and he's trying to hold it all together. But the players, they all have ADHD. They're all just like going off on crazy tangents, and just getting distracted by the most simple things. Or if the DM happens to like say like one little thing that's inconsistent, they will hone in on that and think that there's an entire backstory there, a mystery to be solved. which basically constantly leaves Patrick scrambling to find an answer and to keep things on track.
And who is BBEG for writing?
So BBEG, I was like, we needed a big bad, like the final boss of the show, and I thought like this would be Patrick's kind of like grand scheme to I guess like come up with just this, min-maxed bad guy who's like, he's so powerful, he's so strong, he's got, the biggest armor set, he's got I don't know, we were gonna have a big sword at one stage, so it's like he's got every single one of his bases covered.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that, once the party do actually come at him, he's gonna be able to just like steamroll them. But typically, the party don't even remember when they find him in the big final showdown. They don't even remember who he is. It's kind of implied that, the DM's like, drip fed all these little bits and pieces to kind of like hint at the presence of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that they've probably already met him a few times. And like, my sort of backstory for him is that they have encountered him when he was a drow. And he was like a, kind of, good standing member of society at one stage, until the party came along and kind of just ruined his life for him, and sent him on a really, really dark journey to where he is now. And so the fact that they don't even remember him is just like, the final nail in the coffin for him just hating them. And of course, as all big bad encounters go, if you don't give them minions, to act as meat shields for the party, then they just quickly get overwhelmed, surrounded, and just have the crap kicked out of them.
I've had a lot of those encounters. Yeah. This is actually why I've just stopped looking at CR levels and just gone, what's a big bad monster? And then I end up throwing something at them that's way too powerful, and now I'm like, okay, well, this kind of balanced itself out. They might die, but at least it's okay. At least it lasted longer than a round.
But then something medium on like the random encounter thing winds up like killing two of the party, and when it was supposed to be just like this, we're kind of pressed for time. I don't know, like these spiders turn up, and it's like 3 people died.
That was how I accidentally killed one of my wife's characters in Tomb of Annihilation. Yep. Yeah. I forgot how low level they were.
That's Tomb of Annihilation. It's supposed to be a bit of a grind.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
But Kendall, you also play so many other characters. Tell me about some of the other characters you have played on the show.
Well, it's weird naming them because sometimes their names don't get into the final edit. Like a lot of the times it's like, here's this elf. Like there's one that's been in 2 episodes now, or at least 1 episode in one of the one-shots we've had, who's the very
the prim and proper one.
The prim and proper one. So we know him as Reginald, but like that name's never been said on screen. I love
the idea of an elf named Reginald.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just we made the joke earlier, but it was before the show started. That's just Elliot's clothes. So they just put me in Elliot's clothes for a day, and then I'm just like, how would someone who dresses like this act?
Yeah, that you got me down to a T.
What's the other the tiefling that you play occasionally? The Marquis?
Oh, the Marquis. Yeah.
That one I really I love the costuming and makeup for that one. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank Eva for that. I think that was the first time I had full like a full like creature makeup on set. That was before we had our current head of makeup, who's Storyline Cosplay, aka Jen. But yeah, first time we had Marquis, that was all Eva, who plays Evandra and stuff. So she painted me up, put the horns on, and like that was that jacket was something she had made during uni or one of her various courses. I think it was for like one of the big showcases, and that was
so not even mine. It was all Eva that time. She made that, and it looks incredible. And I think we might have accidentally got some of that red paint on the collar.
That's not my fault. I had nothing to do with that.
It was a byproduct of acting. That was a thing that I really loved when I started watching the show. Was like, I mean, the first episode, like you're playing the quest giver that is trying to, just start the campaign, and you were also playing the waitress,
the bar wench.
And I remember seeing that and going, okay, I'm so fascinated with how long they can keep this up.
Not that long, apparently.
It was still a good amount of time though, until I was just like, oh wait, that's not him.
4 or 5 episodes in, and it was just like, we can't really keep this up anymore.
I think it was like Rules As Written that we had an actor who wasn't Kendall, and I mean it really just comes down to how much time are we willing to like dedicate in the day to getting Kendall dressed into 3 or 4 different outfits. And I think as the episodes just kind of like grew in scale and scope, it was just like, we can't do this anymore. Like we're kind of almost holding ourselves back from being able to tell a bigger story. And it's funny. It is a really great gag, but I think like, we did it for at least all of season 1 and for a few episodes of season 2. So like in my mind, as soon as we made like in Murder Hobo, there's like a crowd of people, and I like painstakingly like superimposed Kendall's face onto every single one of those guys. And I think as soon as I turned Kendall into a baby,
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
It's like, all right, I think we've done this joke about as well as we can, and there's not really anywhere else to take it.
You really can't top Kendall, baby. Oh god. So the amount of like different characters, the thing that I do really like that y'all did with that though is the fact that like Kendall does get to be in the fantasy parts pretty almost like no matter what. Like I know there's at this point there's quite a few that like I don't think that you're only in as the DM, but like that's still a good mix up where like you still get to be there as like Marquis shows up, or Reginald, or and we got BBEG.
Usually it's like there'll be like the party and like a primary NPC that I play. Usually there are exceptions to the rule. So there's usually something for me to do, and that's it's good for me because there's such like a breadth of different things I can do. So always, well, I say I get to do a lot of different voices. I think I've got 3, and then just tweak it here and there. See what we can get in.
So what would you say is your favorite costume that you've done for it, or that you've gotten into?
I was going to say I don't.
Yeah.
Well, when we did Vicious Mockery, and I got to wear the full plate armor for the first time for that poorly accented character, who I apologize for. That was cool. Like that was like my first time feeling like official, like 40 kilos of armor, strapped over me, getting to know what that's like. I really like, I love BBEG as well. I think he's my favorite character to play. The suiting up for that is a bit of an ordeal.
I bet it is.
Especially when we're filming in 35 to 40 degree heat. That's Celsius. Sorry, I should say.
I mean, to be fair, seeing he's a Canadian coming, I'm the outlier in Fahrenheit. So.
Okay. But closing in on 100, I think, for Fahrenheit, I believe. I think I was calculating it sometimes. It gets around, I think, 97 Fahrenheit. I've got like one or two American friends, so I was trying to describe it to them.
Look, it's getting to the point where it's like actually dangerous to put these guys out. And we're just like, every time we kind of schedule a shoot, we just kind of, because it takes so long to organize, you just kind of like plot a date and then just hope for the best. And then we have a million ice packs on hand, and we go through them very quickly throughout the day. It's really like putting like a Band-Aid on a flesh wound, but, you know.
Yeah. Actually, I did just think of what my favorite one was, though, and not for any like reason the fans probably are expecting, but it was the King character.
The Weekend at Bernie's like one.
No, at the tourney where Dargo barks the horse and stuff. Now, you said costume. That was a really cold week of shooting. It was a bit to get through. I was so cozy. It was such a nice warm thing. Like, we had the extras and everyone out there. It was like nearly snowing with how cold it was, and I was just sitting there on my chair. I was like,
it's good to be the king.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. One of the other things I want to bring up that you and I were talking about for the show, Kendall, you played Idle Champions before this whole thing happened. You came in with the spurt wave, as you were saying.
Yeah, I found out about it like I like a lot of people did when Spurt was when Chris Perkins played Spurt on Critical Role, and everyone loved Spurt, and then it was just sort of like hey, Spurt's coming to this game called Idle Champions. And like a lot of critters like myself and others are like, well, you just had to say that. Went and looked it up, and it's like, yeah, all of Force Grey was there as well. It's like, yeah, you got Bruna, you can unlock Drizzt and like go through it. So yeah, I fell in love with it. I did take a bit of a break, unfortunately, and then came back to it a couple months ago. So yeah, when Goldie and Elliot came up and like sent a message, it's like, have any of you heard of the game Idle Champions of Forgotten Realms? And I'm like, I'm literally playing it now. I'm pulling my hair out because I'm out of wool, and I'm moving these characters around, seeing like if I can buff this damage in any way, and I'm out of potions and stuff.
I love it. So yeah, this has got to be pretty wild. Like a game that you were playing previously, like now, like not only are characters that you act across in it, but like you are in it.
Yeah, well, I guess by the time this episode comes out, be in it.
Yeah, we're in the sad past where that's not true yet, viewers.
Yeah. Look, I'm nervous to see what the tier rankings are. That's my thing. I'm mid tier at the moment. I'd say I'm getting towards end game. Like I've unlocked the trials. I'm getting my legendaries in.
Nice.
I'm essentially just unlocking characters at the moment and trying to build everything. But yeah, I haven't got as much a grasp on the mechanics as others, so I did have a bit of a peek, like when they were showing the marketing material for BBEG, just to like look through. Like, I know one or two formations I'm going to try them out in, but I'm just like, I'm just like, I don't get this one and this one. Is that going to be niche or is that going to be OP? I don't know. So I'm a little nervous because Archeress is bloody A tier.
A for Archeress, right?
Yeah. Like good for Tom, but it's a little annoying. Like, I'm sitting there trying to play the game as escapism or something, and I'm just like, I need to. I'm like, yeah, I've got my push team open at the moment, and it's just like, well, Archeress needs to be in there. He's like one of the best buffers in the team at the moment. He's just staring back at me. with his smug face. Steals the screen every time I'm in a scene with him, and now he's on my computer screen when I want to play my damn game.
Oh, I actually didn't think about that because like like folks that will have a character come to the game and maybe they haven't played it before. It's just like my character's in a video game. I'm not cared about it after that. But like you play the game, so like you will know if you're good or not.
I'm nervous. I could be the worst of the four. Like, they're going to be like, oh yeah, Archers is great for buffing. Nixie's, you could put her in the Tiefling party and she buffs charisma things. Vandra, tanking / support. They're like, and then BBEG.
I think he's gonna be good.
I'm curious about the potion mechanic. That's got me the most intrigued.
Yes. I also realized I'm like, oh, you could actually put Dungeon Master and BBG in the same formation, and that would just be hilarious. It's not OP mechanically, it's OP story wise.
I'm not sure if he fits into my Chaos party, which is just Warduke and Shaka. Like sometimes just for fun, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Let's see what happens. And I just sit there giggling. I'm like, what's going on? Move this person there. So I was like, what? This is a mess. But like, it's gotten me through one or two.
That's what matters.
Yeah. And Warduke's got low int, and he's evil. I reckon BB's gonna get in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, him for evil formations is going to be pretty fun, I think. I don't know. I haven't got to play with him either because again, we're in the sad past chat. Chill out.
Yeah, I believe his slot's in a very popular evil champion though, so that's
the
why
villains will have to fight.
Yeah, that's why I might slip down the rankings, but I'll leave it to the community to decide. They know more than me.
Okay, so I've been asking this to everyone that's been on the show for this, and I'm asking you as well. Do you have a favorite episode?
To watch?
I mean, if you want to drop it in that to watch, or that production wise, or just one that you just think is good.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is obviously the musical one, but I like to consider that its own entity. Like
That's fair.
It's this other thing. We spend so much more time on it than anything else, at least in a pre-production to production scale. Most of my favorites are usually the ones that get the least views.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my sense of humor is a little niche, a little warped. And I think Elliot and I have joked about it in the past. I'm like, this is my favorite. It'll get the least views. And it's like...
It's like directly inverse proportional.
It's a direct correlation. They can just ask me, like, if you've got scripts, it's like, which ones do we shoot? Kendall, which one do you like the most? It's like, that one. All right. But I think it is doing good for views is the vampire one. Like on rewatchability, I think that's my favorite, mostly because Elliot and Goldie get to do a cameo at the start. And they both die.
Yeah, it feels good then.
So that's great. But I loved Andreas being in the middle of the mummy daddy figure. I loved Nixie being like the crotchety old. I was like, who do I have to join to stop living? Best line she's done. Yeah.
Okay. I really love that one too. And like, there was a moment where we were like, all right, so what are we going to do with season 5? Like, is it going to be just kind of more of the same?
Mm-hmm.
Like 5-minute, six 5-minute sketches, or are we going to do like, the kind of like the next evolution, turn this into like a, half-hour whole episode?
Oh, wow.
And like, that was like, obviously we decided what we decided. But like looking back, I'm like, that is the one I think that would have had the most legs for like a full like half-hour episode. And honestly, I feel like if we could ever get to the stage where we can make a full like TV show, that would probably be one of the ones I'd love to revisit.
Oh. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know why, but like I know you described it as always something the Forgotten Realms, but if for some reason in my head I instantly was like, I've looped it in with What We Do in the Shadows. Like I don't know why.
Oh,
It's just like
yeah.
it's just like this group just going through and causing pure chaos.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, What We Do in the Shadows is a show that I wish I made.
Oh God,
I'm
right?
so jealous. It's so good. Oh.
It's amazing. And look, this is one of the things like with my voices, I make these strong decisions of what I'm not gonna do. We get to the first take, I do it. I'm like, I'm not gonna sound like Nandor. I'm not gonna sound like Nandor. This is a different show. I'm not gonna sound like him. And then it's like, take one, go. I accidentally sound like Nandor. I was like, well,
Oh God, yeah.
well, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that show's fantastic. I will never say New York City the same way ever again. Elliot, this is the last time I got you on for right now. Who knows what will happen in the future? We don't know things, you know.
Oh,
I got one more of pick your favorite child. What is your favorite one shot so far?
my favorite one shot. Ooh, let me just go through them all in my head.
He says in his head, he's got his external monitor there.
Yeah, hold on. Let me look at the release calendar. When are we going live?
Oh, I
Because
knew this question was going to come up during the show, and I'm like, you should just leave the dock open, Trevor. Just leave it open, and I still closed it. Let's see, and everyone watching this right now knows because you can look at your freaking calendar. But this one is June 8th.
June 8th. Okay. Look, my favorite one shot is the one that, you know, all things like going to plan came out last week.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved how it all came together.
Oh yeah, no, that thing was so cool when they talked.
Brilliant.
I mean, Kendall, it is the recruitment one with the BBEG.
That
I
makes
can't wait
sense.
to see this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think we've actually like kind of scheduled it around BBEG going live, so
That makes sense.
be a little bit of hype for that. But it's like it's just, you know, the BBEG, he's like recruiting fresh undead corpses, and the way he does that is he just follows the party around and just waits to see what happens.
Oh man, that's a brilliant idea for a big bad evil guy too. Like you just go revive every boss they've ever killed. Hey, you want revenge? Come on.
And in this one, we do have Tom Antris. He's playing a different character. He's playing like this crotchety old peasant. It's very like Monty Python style, where he doesn't quite know that he's dead. He doesn't understand. And so we're doing like there's a, you know, like a hint of like the dead parrot sketch from Monty Python. Just like, you know, you're dead. You're an ex-peasant.
That was my line.
Cease to exist.
That was Kendall's
That was
on
my
the day.
That was my line. I was like, we were going through it. Like we did the script as written thing first, and then there was like we had our little bit of time to play, like one take to play, and then I was like, wait a minute, is this the Norwegian Blue sketch? Sort of looked over, and Elliot was like, that's one of the references. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can find an Easter egg there.
As long as Tom's not playing the mucus goblin, I'm excited for it.
Just for you, Trevor. We might bring him back.
Tom just looks dead into the camera. This is because of you, Trevor.
I'm coming for you.
Oh God,
no. Well, that was a Tom and Kendall role reversal that day. We both seem to have the same tragic flaw, which is if we get to play an old person, we won't break out of it. And whoever's acting opposite them just has to be their minder for the whole time. So Tom had to put up with me when I was the old man at the tourney. And
yeah.
then we switched for this one, and I was just like, is this what I was doing the whole time? And he's like, this is revenge.
Oh boy. Well, I right now I'm very excited to see that one eventually. You know, on the day this shows, I'll have seen it. So, in chat, I'll be saying what I thought of it. Maybe am I in chat? I don't know. Maybe I have a meeting. Who knows the future?
Worst episode ever.
Yeah, I just turn into the comic book guy when I'm here by myself. Well, so Kendall, do you DM in real life?
Yeah, that's how I got the role.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd worked with Deerstalker in 2 previous projects. One was the Game of Thrones Sweded. Sorry, the cut funding to Game of Thrones parody, and the other was a Pokemon version of the Godzilla trailer, I think, where I had
I need to go find these.
I made a choice for the voice. I'm not sure if Elliot liked it, but the choice was made. And then so we just stayed in contact that way. And I think like a year or 2 later, I just posted a picture to one of the socials, just me behind the DM screen, just being like, game night, hell yeah. And Goldie reached out and was like, oh, do you DM? And it was just like, yeah. And she was just like, oh, we've been tossing around this idea for like a more D&D themed show. Like, if it comes together, would you want to audition for it? And I'm like, oh yeah, let me check my very busy schedule. Let me see. So much acting work at the
moment. So how does your DMing style compare to Patrick's?
Oh, not at all. Look, a lot of things that came up, especially in the first season of One for All, are like those, like, catch all those experiences we've all had at the D&D table, and a lot of that comes from mistakes a DM's made. Things like not scaling the big bad encounter, not giving enough consequences for if you go murder hoboing, like allowing chaotic characters into the party and and stuff like that. So like, there was a lot to draw on there. And sometimes we do openly talk about like what ideas, what scripts might be in the future and stuff like that. But my jamming styles are probably a bit more fluid than his, and I like to think I have a bit more fun when I'm DMing than Patrick gets to. I'm not as harsh to the characters a lot of the time, but I still like to torture.
I like what you said there with not giving enough consequences, and it made me think of a time where one of my players decided to shoot a bunch of cannons off at Baldur's Gate, and then just walk back into Baldur's Gate, and he was very surprised when he was arrested, and he like I full on had him go to trial. And I told one of my other friends that I was gonna do this, and it's like I'm like, oh yeah, in like an hour I'm doing this game, and Garrett's character is gonna be on trial, and he goes, can I be his lawyer? And like he just hopped in, like just surprise hopped into the Zoom call and had him as his freaking lawyer. And I think it got the point across enough. It's like, don't do this.
I had a real trial by fire when I started GMing, because like I'd played for a bit, then like my group had disbanded, then I got back into D&D later, so it was like I hadn't played 5e for a bit, but I was listening to a lot of streams and stuff, and then I was like, oh, I want to join a group again, screw it. So joined a group, and I was talking at work and just being like, finally get to play again. Did I play what? And then it was like D&D. And so then a bunch of people at work liked the idea of it and decided that we were going to start a group at work, and I was going to be the GM, and I didn't get much of a say in it. So I GM'd my first 5e game 3 days after I played my first 5e game.
Oh my gosh.
And that campaign went for nearly 2 years, and it was really just, I was just trying to read up on things like that
Did-
old tutor thing, like, you know, read one chapter ahead of them and come back to so many rules, so many interpretations. And yeah, I gave that group way too much leniency.
Were you
early
running one of
on.
the pre-written adventures?
Nah, it was all homebrew.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when I was like starting to get some advice for GMing and like, you need to bring consequences into it and stuff, then started getting, the players were just like, what the hell? I used to be able to just do this.
Yeah, I the thing is with me is like, you know, you hear DMs all the time, or there's just like, oh, you know, just like if they screw up, their character will die. And I'm just like, no, that's too easy. That I will mess with them with consequences, and they will feel bad about things, and that's where the real gold is.
Yeah.
It's when you find out that like the BBEG is like, this was made from your own consequences. Yeah, you probably don't remember them though. So as a player though, have you ever been in have you ever found yourself in a group that was similar in some way to the Awful Ones?
Not for long campaigns, but definitely for one shots. I think most of the groups we play in, if it's like a long-term campaign, then it's just like, okay, we do want these people to succeed, and there does need to be some light at the end of the tunnel. But then we have like a one-shot or a mini-series, as I sometimes call them, just like the three mission arc. That's when I think players cut loose a little bit. They're just like, oh, okay, long-term consequences are going to come into this. What's a stupid character? Like, what dumb stuff can I do? Like, we played a Christmas one-shot once where I was a minotaur called Heffernoose, and
Heffernoose?
Heffernoose, yeah,
Heffernoose.
yeah, based somewhat off Krampus, and like a peasant was, you know, just trying to let him know that he was behaving a bit inappropriately, and like maybe made his son cry or something like that. And, you know, in a normal campaign, it would just be like, oh yeah, okay, I apologize, promise to do better to the thing. But I'm like, no, screw this. This is a one shot. The next arc was this fun little like snowball fight thing, but you know, I was a level 17 warlock, so I opened a pocket dimension, a gateway to a pocket dimension, pushed the kid into it, and the dad's like, where's my kid? They're like, in there, like pushed him into it, and then closed the gate.
Okay,
And
yeah.
It's just like, screw it, it's a one shot, I get to do this stuff. And the DM's like, why'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know, I didn't like him. And you know what? I'm the only one who can open that gate again. So, you know, DM, if you kill me,
I do remember being in a one shot and someone just being absolutely pure chaos and just like, it's a one shot, nothing matters. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I cast hold person on you. Fun times. So Elliot, I'm at the end of my questions here, but I want to ask you, like, when it comes to getting ideas for these, like, are you looking at like horror stories of like D&D groups or things that, like, you know, the bad DM would do or something like that? Like, where do you go for those sort of things?
I mean, I would usually like just kind of through our own games kind of see any sort of mistakes. Even just like sort of, I don't know, like slightly awkward moments or anything like that you can kind of then just like take and run with and then turn them up all the way to 11 and see where it all ends up there. Yeah.
Okay.
DM NPC, I think, is the one with that.
Yeah, like I think in one of my campaigns, we adopted like a little tiefling, sorry, not tiefling, a little tabaxi druid, and just like force the DM to like act them out like all the time. So it's like what started as a fun little NPC became like, you know, this great source of pain for the DM. And like, well, I mean, you're not gonna kill off the character because it's a tabaxi orphan.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that.
You did that to me when I was running that short campaign for you guys. I was just like, oh, here's this random drunk halfling. And it's like, oh, and also you need to go into the sewers to like, find out this dangerous thing. And they're like, hey, random drunk halfling, come with us.
literally the home game that I have going right now, literally the first session of it, like I had my sister in the game who'd never played D&D before. It was her first game, and they fought a bunch of goblins. And they were like, and someone, who had played before was like, oh, but let's keep one of them alive. We'll find out where the rest of them are. And my sister's never played D&D before. Starts talking to this goblin and is like all nice to it and everything. And she's like, hey, like let's just be friends. And she rolled a persuasion check and rolled a nat 20. And I'm like, oh, I guess I better get used to this goblin voice. And now that goblin has his own character. I've played him on streams. Things like that just happen. It's always fun to see it.
What's that meme where like the characters go into a room and the DM's described this like evil figure in the side, and it's like, who else is there? Like, there's goblin named Sam. They're like, I want to go talk to the goblin. It's like,
yeah. The other good one was like 2 minis, just like the perfect the perfect NPC mini that's completely painted, a goblin I haven't even taken out of the package yet, and the whole party's around it. Since this could just be the last one that we have, the idle insights with Deerstalker, I want to ask if there's anyone out there in chat right now that is wanting to like film or make something like that. Do you have any advice for them?
Look, honestly, just get out there and start filming. Like, the thing is, the phones these days are so good that you can shoot something on a phone and it will be at least competent. Like, you don't need like, your Reds and your 8Ks and all of that stuff. Like, just go make something. And I mean, film school is also cool, but you learn more on the job.
I believe that. Just get out there and do it.
And even us, we've made over 30 episodes and we still learn things. You never stop learning. And I mean, even you could have the worst shoot ever, and literally everything could go wrong. And then as long as you're learning something, then it was worthwhile in the end.
Heck yeah.
At least that's what we tell ourselves.
Well, thank you both so much for taking the time and talking with me today. This was an absolute blast. If people wanted to find you all and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
Kendall?
Oh, I'm on Instagram at Kendall's the Human, on Twitter at Kendall's Dumb. And if you want to know more about me, you'll have to find where I live.
And his address is...
Yeah, sign up to our Patreon to learn Kendall's address.
That is the most interesting selling point I've ever heard.
I'm Elliot, and I'm one half of Deerstalker, along with Goldie, who is occasionally watching on in these pre-recordings. Not today, but you can find us at Deerstalker Pictures on YouTube, or you can search One for All D&D to find more of us and more of Kendall's beautiful face. Although you might not recognize him because we always put him in some weird makeup.
But you could also have a BBEG in your formation right now, because again, you're living in the awesome future where BBEG is out. We're in the sad past where he's not. So be sure to go unlock him in game right now, add him to your formation, and you know what? You tell Kendall that you love BBEG and he is top tier character, and I will hear nothing else.
It's too late. The stat block's already finalized.
Look, as long as people like know who BBEG is and they're not just like, who?
That would be perfect. That, like, I'm sorry, but
It would be
perfect.
poetry.
Yeah.
You know, the most recent video, I do love BBEG, just everybody being like, wait, who is this guy? I love when the comment section plays along. So please just pretend you don't know who this guy is.
People are gonna
I
be like,
love
look at this. They had this event where they had all the One for All characters, but then they released this random drow in armor.
It's so weird. There's no new champion this event.
Is it Baloth again?
All right. Well, once again, thank you both so much. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insights. And so until next week, take care of yourself.